In the NBA, chemistry between teammates can at times be even more important to winning than the talent that a particular roster possesses.
Curry cuts, lobs, Jones finishes it off.
We have seen teams seemingly come out of nowhere and achieve success simply because of the bond they share.
It's Lillard, he got the shot off, Lillard got it!
However, today, we are going to take a look at the opposite end of the spectrum and dive into stories of players committing arguably the ultimate act of betrayal on a teammate.
Talking about Karl Malone and explaining why he accused his former teammate of making a pass at his wife, Vanessa.
From getting with their wives and even moms.
LeBron James' mom and Delonte West.
That is absolutely true.
No relationship is sacred in an NBA locker room.
So I guess through the wire, the Shaquille O'Neal sleeping with my ex.
These are NBA players who slept with other players' wives.
They were expecting a baby. So they had a baby. The baby came out black.
Shannon Brown, Steve Blake. Shannon Brown spent the majority of his 9 years in the NBA as a journeyman, backup point guard, playing for 8 teams. Arguably, the most notable stretch of his career, along with the time where this story comes from, was his stint with the Los Angeles Lakers. Brown and the Lakers were coming off of a championship season the year prior, and many believed they could be primed for a return to the finals in the 2010-2011 season. They finished the regular season with an impressive 57-25 record, earning them the second seed in a loaded Western Conference. However, leading up to the postseason, rumors began swirling that a rift had been created between Lakers stars Kobe Bryant and Paul Gasol due to Bryant's wife Vanessa allegedly urging Gasol's girlfriend Sylvia Castro to end her relationship with the power forward. You might be asking, how does Shannon Brown get involved in this story? That's where it gets a bit confusing. He took to Twitter to say, okay, let me put an end to this right now before it goes any further. I did not sleep with a Paul Gasol woman, first and last time addressing it. But before he tweeted this, no one was even alleging that Brown had an affair with Castro. This led many to believe that Brown had outed himself with this post, while other rumors brought forth that it may have been fellow Lakers backup point guard Steve Blake who had the affair with Castro. While we will never truly know what happened, and if there even was an affair, there are signs pointing towards something happening. The Lakers were swept in the first round of the playoffs, the first time this had happened in Phil Jackson's stint with the team. Along with this, Gasol averaged only 13.1 points and 7.8 rebounds per game in the series compared to the 18.8 points and 10.2 rebounds he averaged in the regular season. During the first round series against the Dallas Mavericks, Andrew Bynum, someone we will discuss later on in the video, gave some insight into the locker room saying, obviously we have trust issues, and unless we come out and discuss them, nothing is going to change. It's quite obvious to anybody watching the game. Going on to say that these trust issues were showing themselves both on the court and in the locker room. Interestingly, Brown signed with the Phoenix Suns the following season, while Blake remained with the Lakers until the 2013-14 season, while Gasol went on to get married to Catherine McDonald in 2019. Karl Malone. For this next entry, we are sticking around in Los Angeles and taking a look at Karl Malone. Anyone well-versed in Malone's conduct off of the court knows that trying to get with a teammate's wife would be far from the worst thing he has ever done. However, it is still scummy nonetheless.
Talking about Karl Malone and explaining why he accused his former teammate of making a pass at his wife, Vanessa.
Allegedly, this event took place during a Lakers game in the 2003-04 season. The Lakers were looking to cap off their Shaq and Kobe dynasty run with the addition of veterans Gary Payton and Karl Malone, both future Hall of Famers looking to get a ring before their impressive careers came to an end. However, no one knew at the time of these signings that the former Utah Jazz powerhouse would wind up trying to get with their young superstar's wife. The situation began with Vanessa Bryant calling Malone to have his son join her during the game as he looked bored. According to Kobe's then agent and now general manager of the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, Malone said, "Why don't you come over here and sit next to me and give me a big hug?" Bryant asked. "Why? For what?" To which Malone responded, "If you do that, it will be on the cover of every magazine in the country. Do you like me?" Bryant then said, "As my friend, Kay's husband." Malone then asked her if she could keep a secret and that he would like to tell her something. Bryant shut this down, telling him she was a married woman and he was a married man who was old enough to be her father. To which Malone replied, "Oh, like your daddy? This momentarily put an end to the conversation as the second half of the game was shortly beginning. However, Malone once again said some off-putting things once the contest ended. When walking Malone's son back to him after the game, Bryant asked him why he was wearing a Cowboys hat, to which he responded, "I'm hunting for young Mexican girls." While Malone remained with the team through their run to the NBA Finals that season, they were unable to finish the job and were taken out by the Detroit Pistons in 6 games. It was clear that despite all of the talent on this roster, the dysfunction off of the court stopped this Lakers team from being one of the greatest dynasties in modern NBA history. Whether it be the beef between Kobe and Shaq or Malone trying to get with his teammates' wives, players acting this way would never be sustainable for long-term success. While Malone did not technically sleep with Bryant's wife, judging from the story that Pelinka told and Kobe corroborated, had things gone Malone's way, he certainly would have. Jason Richardson, Steve Nash. Now we have a story of a cheating story that ended in divorce. One of the most beloved eras in Phoenix Suns history is the 7 seconds or less Suns, led by point guard Steve Nash. However, without him knowing, it turns out that Nash was sharing much more than the basketball with one of his teammates. Jason Richardson joined the team in the 2008-09 season via a trade with the Charlotte Bobcats. He was an extremely talented outside shooter at the wing and fit the team's scheme perfectly. But Richardson found some off-the-court chemistry with Nash's wife, Alejandra, as well. While it is not known when the affair began, it is heavily speculated that it ultimately led to a divorce between her and the Hall of Fame point guard. It was clear that Nash had some concerns about his wife being faithful, as the pair had broken up while she was months into her pregnancy. Allegedly, Nash's doubts were ultimately validated when the baby came out black.
They were expecting a baby. So they had a baby, and the baby was born. Literally the day after the baby's born, he filed a divorce. The baby came out black.
As time has gone on, it has become more and more clear that this Nash was looking for a convenient way out from the relationship, or the child's skin tone changed as he got older. But if the rumors are to be believed, this was the obvious nail in the coffin for the relationship, and Nash filed for divorce just 1 day after the birth of the child. However, other rumors began to emerge that Nash, in fact, was the one cheating after the couple broke up, but were not divorced. Whether either allegation is true, Richardson was promptly traded from the Suns in the middle of the season to the Orlando Magic. Nash would remain with the Suns for just 1 more season following the Richardson trade before signing with the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2012-13 season. If the rumors are true, this affair effectively put an end to the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns. Derek Fisher. While up to this point in the video, we have only discussed a teammate going behind another teammate's back to get with their partner. Now we are going to pivot a bit and take a look at a coach who hooked up with a player's wife that led to a brawl. Some would say that Matt Barnes' most embarrassing moment in the league was when he tried to get Kobe to flinch at a ball fake during his time with the Orlando Magic. However, unknown at that time, his lowest moment would come in the 2015-16 season during his time with the Memphis Grizzlies. During training camp with the team, Barnes was tipped off that then New York Knicks head coach Derek Fisher had had relations with Barnes' estranged wife, Gloria Galvin, in the home that the two formerly shared together. This set him off, and he immediately left the facility to beat the shit out of him.
You're around my kids without telling me. That's what, but you're in the house that I pay for.
Things got even worse when Barnes received a call from his twin sons saying that Fisher was at their home. Barnes then got in his car and drove 95 miles just to fight him. In an alleged text recounting the event, Barnes said, "I kicked his ass from the backyard to the front room and spit in her face," while sources close to Fisher say that he left the fight with only a few scratches. Police were eventually called, but when they arrived, Fisher had already fled the scene. Govan went on to pursue a restraining order against Barnes, and he was investigated by the Grizzlies pertaining to the event. While serious consequences were not dealt out from this situation, it was one of the most notorious off-the-court scuffles in NBA history and was even referenced in the Kanye West song 30 Hours. Interestingly, both Barnes and Fisher played together on the Los Angeles Lakers during the 2010-11 and 2011-12 seasons, both of them being on the team's roster during the fiasco discussed earlier regarding Pau Gasol. Andrew Bynum. I said earlier in the video that we would be talking about Andrew Bynum again, and that time is now. In our last entry, we discussed an NBA coach getting with the estranged wife of a player, but now we are going to turn the tables and look at a case in which a player got with the wife of one of his coaches. By this time in his career, Bynum was coming off of arthroscopic surgery on both of his knees. Despite this injury, he signed a 2-year deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers to be the team's starting center. However, this was a very short stint due to his conduct both off the court and in practice. The much easier piece of this story to cover is what happened in practice. Allegedly, he had been thrown out after shooting the ball every time he touched it, no matter how far he was from the basket, meaning the 7-foot center who shot 11.1% from three was pulling from half court if not further for a good chunk of the practice. However, while this was enough for someone to get sent home for the day, it did not explain the team immediately suspending him indefinitely and trading him the soonest chance they got. But it would not take long for an explanation as to why the team came down so hard on him to emerge. Rumors began swirling that Bynum had slept with the then fiancée, now wife of assistant coach Jamal Mosley. While these allegations were neither confirmed nor denied, it would make a lot more sense for this to cause an indefinite suspension rather than a simple tantrum at practice. Regardless, the Cavaliers eventually found a trade partner in the Indiana Pacers. Bynum played just 2 games with the Pacers before retiring from the league at just 26 years old. Assuming these rumors are true, this is yet another player from the 2010-11 Los Angeles Lakers that one way or another found themselves involved in a cheating scandal, making you wonder what exactly was in the water in Los Angeles during that season. Tony Parker. What if I told you that this next cheating scandal almost ruined the San Antonio Spurs dynasty of the 2010s? This is almost exactly what happened when Tony Parker was exposed in 2010. His then wife, Ava Longoria, discovered sexually explicit texts were sent and received with Aaron Barry, wife of former Spurs teammate Brent Barry. While Aaron and Brent were in the process of a divorce, it still had not been finalized, and Parker was still married. NBA legend and father of Brent, Rick Barry said in an official statement, "I feel horrible for my son. I'm in shock. I knew Aaron was moving out of the house soon, and she was the one who filed for divorce. This is the straw that broke the camel's back." While there was no physical relationship between Tony and Aaron, the texts were more than damning, and both marriages ended in divorce.
It was disappointing because I had such an identity in being Mrs. Parker and being a wife.
Interestingly, this was not the first cheating rumor that surrounded Parker during their relationship. Months after their wedding, he allegedly began an affair with French model Alexandra Parisson. While Parker was able to successfully deny this claim, there was no lying his way out of this one, and it ended in divorce and in Tony almost being traded from the Spurs. While Barry was no longer a Spur at this time, he still frequently hung around the team's facility and remained close with former teammates and coaches, one of those coaches being head coach and general manager Greg Popovich. When the news about Parker and Barry's wife broke, Popovich was allegedly irate and wanted to trade Parker to the Sacramento Kings as punishment. Lucky for Parker, he had just signed a 4-year, $50 million deal that made it impossible to trade him due to how recently the extension was signed. By the time he was eligible to be dealt, cooler heads had prevailed and he remained with the team. Had he waited just another week to sign this extension and the Spurs were able to move on from him, there is a strong chance it would have caused a ripple effect that changed the course of the entire 2010s. Without Parker, it is very difficult to think that they would have won the 2014 finals against the Miami Heat, and there is a chance they would not have even made it to the finals in 2013. Had this happened, would Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich's legacies be looked at differently? Along with this, would the Spurs still be looked at as one of the greatest dynasties the league has seen? Finally, would LeBron James have left the Miami Heat and returned to the Cleveland Cavaliers if the Heat were able to win 3 championships in 4 seasons? Obviously, we will never know the answer to any of these questions. However, it is very interesting to think of what all could have changed had something as simple as an extension be signed a week later or cheating allegations hit the press just a week earlier. Delonte West. Now we will look at arguably the biggest off-the-court scandal in the NBA this century, a story that even at the time seemed way too far-fetched to be true. The mother of the face of the NBA sleeping with one of his son's role-player teammates. Delonte West joined the Cleveland Cavaliers via a trade with the Seattle Supersonics in an attempt to give the Cavs some additional 3-point shooting help. Little did the front office know that this trade may have set off a domino effect that would cause the greatest player in franchise history to leave the team. This is a unique situation compared to other entries on the list, where even if the allegations are true, no one was technically doing anything wrong. However, it is still objectively insane to start a relationship with your teammate's mom. Many believe that these rumors were the reason behind the Cavaliers' collapse in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics, and according to Hall of Famer Calvin Murphy, soon after the rumor hit the press, Murphy was quick to corroborate it, saying, "It ain't no rumor. Unfortunately, my sources in the NBA tell me that it's absolutely true. My sources, they're legit. They tell me the only people that didn't know it was happening was LeBron and me. He went on to discuss James finding out about the rumors, saying he supposedly found out about this at the 4th game in the playoffs. Remember, I made a statement on the air that I thought he quit. It makes sense. How can you play ball? Oh my God, I'm a very strong person. I've been involved in some situations, and I had to weather the storm. I don't think I could weather that one. If Murphy is to be taken at his word, it is also insane that everyone around James and the team knew, but no one had the balls to tell him. While James's camp went on to vehemently deny these rumors, it is interesting to see how events were carried out following this rumor circulating and Cleveland being eliminated by the Celtics. West was traded to the Celtics, and LeBron notoriously went on to take his talents to South Beach. If these rumors are to be believed, it would explain a lot of things. First, why LeBron seemingly hit a wall in the series against Boston, why West did not return to Cleveland, and finally, why LeBron not only left for Miami in free agency, but seemingly gave a middle finger to the Cavs front office by announcing his decision on an hour-long special on ESPN. Shaquille O'Neal. Now we will jump to another player on the 2009-10 Cavaliers team, Shaquille O'Neal. While he has gone on to be one of the most lovable players in NBA history, when digging into Shaq's past, you find some rather questionable things. One of those things being breaking up the over-decade-long relationship between Gilbert Arenas and Laura Govan. While Shaq and Arenas were technically never teammates in a traditional sense, they did technically play on the same team in the 2005, 2006, and 2007 All-Star games. This affair did not occur until years later in 2011 when risque emails between the two were leaked. While Arenas claimed that a physical relationship had occurred, Govan has denied these claims and stated that the emails were fake. Interestingly, she and Arenas continued their relationship until 2014. However, after years of allegedly running around on his wife, this was the final straw for Shaq's then-wife, Shawnee, and she filed for divorce shortly after these rumors popped up. To add to the betrayal of this situation, both Shawnee and Laura appeared together on Basketball Wives, and from all accounts, the two had a good relationship up until these claims became public. Both men were nearing the end of their playing careers by the time the press got hold of this story. However, they both have been able to navigate retirement well, both becoming big voices in the NBA media. In 2024, Arenas discussed how this situation with Govan and O'Neal went on to even play a role in his notorious gun situation, where he and Javarius Crittenton both threatened each other with guns inside of the Washington Wizards locker room. The situation came to a head when Crittenton pointed a loaded gun at Arenas' head. Arenas discusses how his teammates found out on the plane back from a game and were laughing at him about the situation when Crittenton told Arenas that's what they were laughing about. He then sat with Arenas while he called both Govan and Shaq, who both denied the cheating allegations. Arenas went on to say, "So now, when we're on the plane months later, this about JaVale and Earl Boykin's money situations, so he decided to chime and he's just talking, and I'm like, hey, don't talk about your teammates like that. And just because he's losing that actually triggered him. So he started talking reckless to me. Now think about me and him now. He's got that up on me and all I can think about is, oh, this whole Shaq thing. Does he think I'm weak-minded? Now I engage the So now you can see how mentally you can snap everything up.
So I guess through the wire, the Shaquille O'Neal sleeping with my ex.
So indirectly, this situation with Shaq ultimately led to the downfall of both Arenas and Crittenton's careers. Was there any case that shocked you or seemed a little too out there to be true? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hoops Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.